college football playoffs are underway. And boy, they did not disappoint. Every single team that had a bye got beat. And not only did those teams get beat, most of them got beat pretty bad. Boise State got dominated by Penn State. The game wasn't even close. Oregon got beat before they got off the bus. I don't know what was going on with Dan Lannon and company, but Ohio State looked like a whole different team from that first matchup. Texas let Arizona State kind of hang around, but ended up beating them in the end. And Notre Dame put belt to behind on Georgia. So we got some matchups that I feel like we predicted. We kind of gave these matchups to y'all early on when we saw the bracket. I mentioned Notre Dame and how strong of a defense they have and just an all-around good football team. I told you they were going to beat Georgia. They did. Now Notre Dame takes on Penn State. This is a classic matchup. Two blue blood football programs. Man, I'm excited about this matchup between Notre Dame and Penn State. Both teams are sound defensively on offense. Both teams can run the ball. Notre Dame did have an injury to one of their main backs in the Georgia game, so we'll see if he's going to be ready to go. But, Dub, I got to hear from you first. What are your thoughts about how this game will go? What are the keys to victory for both teams? And who do you have ultimately winning this college football playoff semifinal?
These teams are equally yoked. I mean, one's the 6th seed, one the 7th seed. So that's just a testament to how closely aligned these two teams are. What it really is going to boil down to is defense. Notre Dame held Georgia to 10 points. Penn State held Boise to was it 20 something points? I want to make sure.
Yeah, it was
14 points. 14 points.
Dominant win.
Yeah. So I think the Georgia win was more dominant than the Boise State win.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm leaning towards Notre Dame. I like what I saw against Georgia. Quarterback play wasn't bad. At this point in the season, I like how the game is somewhat slowing down a little bit. A lot more rushing, a lot more defense is being played. Still high scoring to some degree in football terms, but I definitely think that this game is going to be one of those win in the trenches type of games. So I don't see any team scoring over 28 points to win the game. So I think I have the final score being 28-24, Notre Dame.
Okay, not bad at all. I like that analysis. I think, again, looking at Notre Dame over the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, we've seen a team that defensively has been physical, who's really stopped the run when it comes to both Indiana and Georgia. More so with Georgia than I would have expected. I mean, Georgia only had 62 rushing yards. If you would have went into this game and someone would have told you Georgia would have only rushed for 62 yards with ETN in the backfield as well as some of the other backs, I think you would be hard-pressed to believe that that's how this game would go. But it did. Georgia was able to pass the ball on Notre Dame, 234 yards passing. I do think that with Penn State, I think will run the ball a little better against the Notre Dame defense. I think they'll be just as physical up front. And being able to run the ball will open up the pass to guys like Tyler Warren. And I think he's ultimately the X factor. What is Tyler Warren able to do against this Notre Dame defense? We saw that early on in the Boise State game. It didn't seem like Drew Aller and Tyler Warren were on the same page. But once he got him going and he got in the end zone, he's a mismatch. They can line him up at the tight end spot. They can bring him into the backfield. They can move him out wide to wide receiver. He's that versatile of a player. So I think he's going to be the X factor. And Penn State goes as far as they're able to go with him moving around the field and going against that Notre Dame secondary. Again, as I always say, in matchups where I feel like it's this even, You got, two really solid defenses. I start to look at where are their gaps. So I look at the quarterback play. When I try to decide between whether or not I like Riley Leonard to be leading me out in the semi matchup versus Drew Aller, I'm going to go Riley Leonard. I think, again, against a tough Georgia football team who's been there, done that in the college football playoff, he showed up. There wasn't, a lot of fog. They've been playing every single week. The same is true of Penn State. They had to play in the first round as well. So both of these teams will be fresh. Both of these teams will have, a lot of momentum coming into the game. But as I said, a couple weeks ago when we talked about the matchup between Notre Dame and Georgia, I just think Notre Dame had the best spot in the bracket. They got to go against SMU at home in the first round. That was a favorable matchup. After that momentum, they had to go and play Georgia at a neutral site, but ultimately, in Georgia territory, and they were able to do what they had to do. And in this case, I got to go with Notre Dame winning this football game again. I think Notre Dame will be dominant early. They'll be able to run the ball. Penn State will be effective on offense. I think, a 28-24 score, I think that's what you said, Doug. I don't think that's too far-fetched. I think we will see both teams get on the board. We might go into halftime tied up, but I think ultimately at the end, Notre Dame will pull away. So I, too, agree with you, Doug. I'm going to go 28. I'm going to actually go 27-21 Notre Dame.
Okay.
So those are our thoughts on it. Dub and I both have Notre Dame winning this game against Penn State. If you're a big Nittany Lion fan or just a fan of football in general, let us know your thoughts. Let us know who you have winning this semi